I'm going to do some very basic journaling for mental health and well-being. You can see I've got a range of different bits and pieces around me. I've got some watercolours, I've got a pencil, and just scraps of paper. And we'll start by breathing the line. This is a really nice, simple, soothing technique. And you breathe in, you inhale as you take the pencil up, and you exhale as you bring it down. And the idea is not that you're trying to make all of your lines exactly the same, but that you're just trying to really focus on the breath and focus on the inhale and trying to stretch it out. Obviously you can slow your pencil down as you're taking the longer breath. And that just gives you a bit of focus and allows you to really think about your breathing and calm and soothe yourself. I don't need to keep that, so I will often just work on top of that breathing the line exercise and just use it in the background and start to collage over it. But one of the first activities, this is about trying to find the positive, is taking any piece from a newspaper. You can see this is a really useless one, so I had to find another one. This was from a financial newspaper, and so I just found ripped out a page from this kind of academic magazine. Just doesn't matter what paragraph it is. The idea is then to just draw around or highlight in some way just the positive words in it. So you're really looking for the positive. You're literally trying to identify the positive and pull those words out of the text. Even if they're not how you're feeling, you're just actively looking for words that are positive within any bit of writing. And that's just a really nice activity to get you started thinking about words. And then we're going to start to put some really simple backgrounds in. We just want to make some small colourful circles. You can do it with watercolour, you can do it with coloured pencils, you can do it with felt tip pens, you can do it with collage, so you can just cut out sections of colour, but don't use a glossy magazine because you're going to be writing on top of it. So as long as they're matte and they're not sort of laminated anyway. So this, you can see I'm just using some felt tip pens to create some circles whilst I'm waiting for the other ones to dry. This is a really nice way to just make words pop out of the page. So if I'm thinking about things I'm grateful for, I can just write that word. You can see I'm not trying to contain it within the circle. None of these activities are about making beautiful outcomes or about doing things that are perfect. So as I write the word, I'm conscious that that circle of colour is going to make it pop out of the page, but it's not about containing inside the circle. If you're a perfectionist and you really would prefer to contain inside the circle, then do that. That's absolutely up to you. And going back to these watercolour circles, so I'm doing the same. I'm thinking of positive things I want to put inside them, thinking of things that I'm grateful for, and you know, you can do that with just a biro. I tend to use a black biro because it stands out, but you can see that I can make it stand out even more, make it really punchy, just by going over the letters a second time and just thickening them up in places so they're going to stand out nicely against those colours. Obviously I can doodle around them, just put anything you feel like in. Now this is a really good activity if you're not in a good mood, you're not feeling like this is a great day, I'm not feeling hugely positive. You can see that scrap of magazine that was just there on the table. I thought, yep, that's going to go in as well. It wasn't planned, I just saw it and thought, okay, you can be my ground, I'm going to pop a tree on top of it. It's so much of it is about just being quite instinctive and playful with whatever is around you or in front of you. But as I write into this is some people call it a word dump or a brain dump, but really it's just trying to get something out on paper. You can read it if you want to, it's just me moaning about the weather. But as I carry on, I'm going to write over the top of the words that I've already written, and that way it doesn't matter what it is or how private it is or how upsetting it is, it's only me that could read it, and actually it gets to the stage where even I can't read it. You can do that by writing in different directions if you want to, if you feel like maybe, you know, someone who's really good at it would be able to decipher what I've written, so you could go in different directions. But it's just a good way to release something so it stops going round and round and round your head and put it down on paper. Underneath that, see if there's anything you can do that's positive out of it. So telling yourself, reminding yourself, so I'm saying days are getting lighter, days are getting warmer, it's going to be summer soon, etc. So putting those things down at underneath my sort of complaint, I guess, or my brain dump. is just a really useful thing because it brings out some positives from it as well. You can also do that by writing in one circle. As I said, it would be good to feel less anxious, and then looking at what are my strategies to do that. So I'm talking about, right, well, I'm going to have to work on my self-soothing. Well, how do I do that? So what are my self-soothing techniques? So I'm saying painting, avoiding self-criticism, and talking to friends. And then I can link that back to the bubble that has friends written in it and so on. So I'm trying to make links there on the page, but that's just because that happened to be something that I thought, I happened to put friends in the middle, and then I was talking about friends, so I can connect those. There I've written finding the positives. That's the activity, but it's just to let you know that that's what it was about. And then I was thinking, oh gosh, finding doesn't really stand out because it's got something dark in the background. So I'll try and make it stand out a bit more, and then you'll see I cover it all up anyway in a bit, so it really doesn't matter. But you can be as careful, as refined as you want with this. I quite like being relatively, I don't want to say messy, but kind of just loose with what I'm attaching. I'll put something on and later on I'll decide I'm covering it with something else. Really it's about being playful with the page in front of you. So here I'm just writing out the words that I've highlighted, so that I'm really kind of trying to engage with them, trying to think about each of them and how maybe I relate to those words. Do I relate to those words? And if so, how I relate to them, and then kind of really trying to make them stand out. They're not my chosen words, they're the words I've discovered in that particular article. So I don't have to have ownership of them. I don't need to sort of feel that they're mine. And again, I'm looking through whatever magazines you can tear up that are around you just for bits and pieces. Usually I go through looking for Sky, but I was looking at this one, found some Sky, and on the page opposite it was about happy days and well-being, which I thought that's really what's the word I'm looking for? There's a sort of synchronicity about it, which I loved. So yeah, popping a bit more blue sky in. I wasn't keen on that writing, so I wanted to change it, and I didn't feel there needed to be a title. Usually I don't feel there needs to be a title. That makes it feel like everything needs to connect to that subject matter. But I can just use any words, think about whether things are going to be on a diagonal, if you want things to be straight. I quite like alternating back and forth between the two different sketchbooks, or I might have actually quite a few different books on the go at the same time, because something I cut out for one I might feel actually fits nicely in another, or I might be waiting for a page to dry so then I can go into the other one. It really doesn't matter if you just have one book that you want to work in. I know some people have done this, the whole thing, their whole journal, inside an old novel, and really highlighted the words on each page and then illustrated on top of the page, and that can be a really beautiful activity. So it really doesn't matter what you're adding. I mean, I'm just sort of cutting bits and pieces out and then trying to make them fit. I often use the negative space, so the bit that I've cut a shape out of, the piece that's left, the negative space, I often find works just as nicely, and I can use that as a frame, perhaps pick something else out on the page. And then anything that's kind of oversized, like these oversized leaves that I can then write words into. I really enjoy just adding unusual and sort of just having a range of different size on the page, things that work, things that have been put there that are absolutely not right, don't fit, but I'm just going to play with it. I'm not making any rules for this. As I was just making the word bright stand out more, so you can see I'm just sort of doubling up on the lettering. There was just incredible bird song going on outside the window, so I am responding to what's going on around me, and that's about being really mindful, being really in the moment. So whilst I'm writing or whilst I'm drawing, I'm really tuning into what's happening, what noises are around me, how I'm feeling, if there's a good light source and so on. So lots of different things that tie into what my word dump was about, which was obviously about the weather, and then about kind of trying to pull something positive out of it, and draw as much positivity as I can out of that. So some of that is obviously thinking into the future and about how it's going to get better. And a lot of that is to do with our well-being, where, you know, if we're just focusing on the moment, sometimes we can just go round and round in circles feeling quite down about something. Whereas if we can look at what might be happening, you know, what may be happening in a week's time, in a month's time, and so on, it can lift us. You know, we can feel like this particular situation is not going to go on forever. You know, very few things do go on forever. It's genuinely a case that we need to embrace sort of the potentiality and the possibility that things will change and improve and get better and so on. So this is just a very, very simple way, keeping a visual journal. It's a very simple way to be able to express yourself. So it's not just about positivity, but it's about us expressing ourselves. And when you express yourself, if you're putting down things that are you're worried about, things that you're unhappy about, etc., trying to also pull out some positives from that, even if that's into the future, can be really beneficial. People who do lots of bullet journaling, you know, I quite like using just these cut out little squares as my bullets if I'm writing a list of notes. I wouldn't usually start a list of notes on a page that already has stuff on it, but also, as I said, you know, I'm not going to be precious about this, and then I'll just use a little cut out paper square, doesn't matter what colour it is, and pop a dot inside it, and it's like I've highlighted the bullet, and you know, but again, remember, this might be a bullet list that's to do with things that you would like to be able to achieve, or things that you want to do today. It might be you're making a list of you know, recipes you want to cook. It might be making yourself a list of goals, aims, objectives. It can be absolutely anything you want it to be, so it's got to be whatever works for you. You can see I'm there busy still putting additional bits and pieces into this, and I will probably carry on working on it tomorrow and the next day and so on. I might work on a double page like this multiple times over the course of a week, and I might come back to it next week and do something else on top of it. Same with this page, you know. And there I think I'm writing being able to be myself as a reason to be happy. So, you know, sometimes something that I write on one page, I pick up on another page where there's a space that I feel like I could develop that thought. You know, any materials that you've got handy, I love these felt tip pens, you know, just being able to stretch out a little bit of background design, and you can see that's so simple. And I, again, as I said, will probably add to it later. It's especially entertaining when you do something. I think I'm just about to add some orange pen to do some dots around the word home, and of course the ink is not coming out of the pen, so you can see I'm there trying. It lasts about 3 seconds on this, but of course it took a lot longer because this is sped up. But trying to get that orange pen to work was a real mission. But again, I mean, I could just change to anything. It really doesn't matter. I was a bit, you know, persevered to get that pen to work, but it really doesn't matter. You can see there's lots of other materials around me that I could use. And again, this is just about me thinking out loud on the page. So it's not about me trying to make it beautiful for anyone else. It's not about me trying to make it beautiful for myself. I'm just literally, it's like when I was young, we had a landline. I know that was back in the dark ages, and there was a pad beside it and a pen to obviously write messages down. And for me, that was all about doodling. And for most of my family, it was all about just doing a doodle whilst you were chatting to whoever you were chatting to on the phone. So just enjoy it. Be free with it. Remember to start with some breath work, enjoy your journal, enjoy your gratitude journal, and keep working on your well-being.